Ellen McCauley at Pray It Off in Syracuse, New York. We're talking about replacing anxiety with a faith thinking pattern. And what happens when I have an anxiety thinking pattern? I eat more. Even if I don't eat more, my body's holding on to things because it thinks I'm in some terrible situation, and it's holding on to fuel because it thinks it needs to fight, just like the caveman days. So even when I'm not overeating, I'm not losing weight because my body's in a state of constant anxiety. Overweight and anxiety can be very connected. It's not necessarily a chicken and an egg. You don't necessarily, you're overweight and therefore you're anxious, or you're anxious and therefore you become overweight. But there is a correlation, because when you suffer from anxiety and you turn to comfort foods to fulfill it, and you already might have a nature that you tend to have a slower metabolism or whatever, then your body's going to put more weight on. And I don't know about you, but I'm anxious about gaining weight, so I gain weight, and then I feel bad about myself, and then I'm anxious about that. It's like a never-ending spiral. It's like, okay, I don't like myself, I put on weight, but what do? Maybe I'll have a cookie now and worry about it tomorrow. That is what you do when you are not really focusing on that faith part of your life. If you have a family history of anxiety, if you've lived through trauma, if you have a hormone thing, women are more prone to anxiety and overweight because there is a correlation with hormones. So, and also what happens is when you're anxious and you become overweight, you have a predisposition towards the type 2 diabetes. And what they recommend here is avoiding alcohol and caffeine. Now, I have to watch caffeine. I love caffeine. I love my coffee. And I can drink it at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning. No problem. If I drink it at noon or 12:30 or 1 o'clock, I'm like, I can't sleep that night. I cannot have caffeine after 12 noon. As a matter of fact, it's probably earlier because I have all my caffeine when I wake up in the morning. If you find yourself anxious at night, my sister's like, I don't drink my coffee at night. I said, but aren't you drinking full caffeine iced tea? She goes, that counts? Yes. Anything with caffeine counts. So if you find yourself getting anxious at night, look at what you're drinking. Also, alcohol. Many people think alcohol can help them calm down if they're anxious. What usually happens to me is I'm all anxious, I have a couple beers, and then I'm like, let's have hot dogs, let's have macaroni salad. You know, it's like, then you're already, your resistance against food's lower because you figure, what the heck, I'm having beers anyway. So, you should choose foods containing tryptophan, and that will calm you down. Oats, steel oatmeal, nuts, milk, soy, peanut butter, and poultry. Again, all those things in moderation. And a big one is exercise. I think that is another reason that has helped me enormously since Pray It Off started in 2008. Because I didn't really exercise prior to 2008. I just lived my life. I didn't walk, I didn't ride a bike, I didn't do anything. I just lived. And then my body wasn't getting that motion. And even though I was very anxious through May, I didn't do as bad as I could have done because I still rode my bike every day. I still did 10,000 steps every day. And even if you don't lose weight, exercise isn't for losing weight. It can help, but it's for your body and your health. So, if you have anxiety, if you are overweight, one of the things is that anxiety greatly affects your digestion. You can have upset stomach, you can have GERD, the gastric reflux disease. You can become inactive because you're like, I'm so anxious, I just want to lay on the couch and pull the wool, blanket over my head. And then here's the big thing, anxiety medications. Every time I weighed over 300 pounds in my life, I was on anti-anxiety medications. Every time. I could start taking an anti-anxiety pill tomorrow, and in no time, I would gain 50, 60 pounds. And you might say, Ellen, that can't be true. It is true. It's true. I cannot have anti-anxiety medication, so I have to, I mean, I could if I didn't care how much I weighed. And it didn't really help. Not like faith, not like pray it off. Nothing helped like these two things. And then the comfort foods. Are we ever going to be cured of that? You know, one person shared tonight that, you know, she didn't go to the snacks as much as she used to, or didn't eat as much as she used to. And even I noticed this week, every meal I ate, I put something away. I didn't, like last night, Bob took me out for first night of freedom dinner, and I said, I need a box. I needed a box immediately because I was just, didn't want to eat it all. And that's big, because when you're anxious, even when you're full, you eat. You eat because that's what you're doing to medicate yourself. So prayer helps too, because I've been praying about all of our weight, not just my weight. You can treat anxiety, obesity. Calories in, calories out. You know, when I said that, you know, I didn't lose any weight because my body was holding on to food, I was still eating more calories than I should have. So you have to drop the calories down. And don't do fad diets. I do not believe they might work in the short term. They never work in the long term. If they did, there would be a whole show on fad diets. Try this fad diet, you can lose weight for life. No. All of these things do not last, because otherwise they'd be very successful. Starving yourself does not work. I've tried it. I'm very good at it. I am so good at starving myself, it doesn't last. It lasts for a while, and then it doesn't work anymore, and you just hurt your metabolism. Exercise is extremely important for mental health. You move, you breathe. And one of the things I really did this past month when I laid down at night and I was so anxious, I purposely started breathing from my toes. Now, poor Bob, he goes, I'll never be able to fall off. He falls asleep in literally 1 second. He can say something like this, oh, I'll never fall off. He just never stays. And there I am, like 1 inch from him going, deep breaths, Ellen, you can calm down, you know. So then I'm taking a breath from my toes up to my head, and it helped. Then I found something else. I always say my rosary in the morning. I started saying a rosary. God doesn't say, Ellen, you already said the rosary. You can say the rosary 10 times a day. So I started saying the rosary when I was falling asleep, and it really works. I'm like, and I thought, this helps. Breathe deeply, say the rosary. And you know, when you've said the rosary a million times, you don't need the beads. You can just say them in your head. I use my fingers, you know. So that's very important, just to stay calm, say the rosary. And here's something else big. Don't monitor the scale. You know, so many people are using the scale like step aerobics. Like, what do I weigh now? What do I weigh now? I went to the bathroom. What do I weigh? I had lunch. What do I weigh? I just had dinner. Oh, I had a cookie. What do I weigh? Oh, I didn't gain weight from that cookie. I think I'll have another one. It's too soon. So don't monitor the scale. I'm going to stop right there, Bob.